Shalom Chavrim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. The latest the missile test that North Korea has conducted, according to some experts, actually reached the waters of Japan in their economic zone there. There has been some debate as to whether or not the missiles that were being tested by North Korea actually did travel that distance. Some are saying 450 kilometers, others are saying 400 kilometers, which still would fall shy of Japan's territorial or economic waters, as you might call it there. But nonetheless, according to RT, U.S. and Japan to take specific action after North Korea missile hit Japanese economic zone. As an article that has come out there, says Tokyo will take specific action and join forces with the U.S. to deter Pyongyang. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said after North Korean missile flew about 450 kilometers before landing inside Japan's economic zone. As we agreed at the recent G7, the issue of North Korea is a top priority for the international community, Prime Minister Abe told reporters in a televised comment as cited by Reuters. Working with the United States, we will take specific action to deter North Korea, Abe said, adding that Japan will also maintain close contact with neighboring South Korea and other countries. Very interesting to see how this is all going to play out. You know, one thing that I'd just kind of remind you guys of, too, that was also stated, this was stated by here on Face the Nation, CBS News there, that Mr. Mattis, Secretary Mattis stated here, war with North Korea would be catastrophic, stated Secretary of Defense Mattis there. And he states here, a conflict with North Korea, John, would be probably the worst kind of fighting in the most people's lifetimes, Mattis told CBS News Face the Nation. Host John Dickerson in his first official interview as a defense secretary. The North Korean regime has hundreds of artillery, cannons, and rocket launchers within range of one of the most densely populated cities on earth, Seoul, the capital of South Korea, Mattis said. So you can certainly see where this would definitely not be a good war whatsoever, and I'm sure every attempt is being made by the different leaders to try to avoid that. But at the same time, President Trump continues to make it known that the U.S. is not going to play around, as well as the President Abe of Japan. And then we're also dealing with the fact that North Korea's Kim Jong-un, he's not even remotely backing off on doing his test or the possibility of even a sixth nuclear test that could be staged in the very near future. And at this rate here, he's averaging a test flight on his rockets about one every 9 days. So he doesn't seem to be worried at all about the United States. And of course, Russia once again has warned that the United States to be very cautious about doing any kind of conflict in that area. Not to mention President Putin has met today, just a couple of hours ago, with the newly elected President Macron, which was kind of interesting, seeing that Macron was not very positive about Putin before the election, talking about Russia meddling in the elections. I guess once he saw that he got his landslide victory there over Marine Le Pen, then he felt like, well, I guess after all, he didn't meddle in the election, and now they can become more of a economic partner of sorts. After all, it was France that had built the two aircraft carriers for Russia that ended up going to Egypt, after all, with the pressure of the United States under that of President Barack Obama, and the pressure that was placed on France then not to deliver these ships to Russia. So I guess they realize they want to patch up those relationships, because Russia would have been a very good economic partner for France. And of course, France and Russia have been longtime allies for many, many decades there. So is also on the anniversary of Peter the Great going to France there, that the President Putin went to France. So very interesting things that are happening there. So that's one out of all these different world leaders that seem to be against President Putin and trying to bring normal relationships back with Russia, and not so much trying to demonize them. And even President Trump has tried to do that somewhat, with a tremendous amount of opposition. No doubt Macron will also be smacked back in line, you might say, by some of those in the background that do not appreciate his stance with Russia. Also, another thing here already happened is putting out an interesting video here. I'll kind of show you this video here. Let's just make sure we don't have all this loud volume on here. But this here is Spanish forces there that are on the streets in a little city there, right there on the border of Morocco. We're looking at tanks that are rolling by. And Lorenzo also shows a map on here where that's at. It's a little city located there just on the edge of Morocco, but it's its own independent location there called Melillas. The street's an autonomous city near the border with Morocco, and the tanks are deployed on the streets of that city there. Not sure exactly why, maybe because of the situation going on in Libya and concerns of things could get out of hand, or that of refugees that could spill in. One other note I wanted to share with you, this was brought out with United with Israel. I thought it was certainly noteworthy. Palestinian Authority has paid over $1 billion to terrorists in 4 years. I mean, this is just absolutely appalling. How much more money do you think the United States would like to spend? And unfortunately, President Trump did authorize even a greater amount of money for the PLO this year after President Barack Obama awarded them so much money. President Trump awarded even more money. But I think President Trump was hoping that there was going to be some kind of deal. And there's some reports that have been surfacing out of Israel saying that President Trump yelled at the president of the PLO, Mahmoud Abbas, saying that you promised me that you were going to work out a peace agreement over with Israel. But seemingly backpedaling already. But anyway, the PA uses 7% of its budget and an equivalent to 20% of its annual foreign aid to encourage terrorism. Palestinian Authority PA issued payments to terrorists and their families totaling more than $1 billion over a 4-year period, according to the recent study by the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs. The sum accounts for 7% of the PA's budget and is equivalent to 20% of the foreign aid and the PA receives annually. 20% of foreign aid going to support terrorism. Payments are written into PA law, which declares that prisoners who are convicted of security offenses and acts of terrorism are fighting sector and integral part of the weave of Arab-Palestinian society and guarantees the financial rights of the prisoner and his family. Prisoners consequently receive a significant payment while incarcerated, as well as jobs or salaries upon their release. The time they serve behind bars also counts towards their seniority in a PA institutions. Just kind of weird. No wonder why people are willing to do such acts of violence against innocent civilians in the region there, because of the fact that it's so lucrative. Interesting. It's kind of what seems to be going on in Syria and other places as well, with all the rebels that are fighting, because the more money that is offered, the more they're willing to fight there. Kind of like what President Putin said in one of the interviews that he did one time, where it was public, and he was talking about that the fighters will fight depending on whoever the highest bidder is that'll give the most money. As we saw even in one article about Russia going to the southern borders there of in Syria, of the cities of Dada and Al Suwaid, trying to also recruit militias there, offering them $200 a month. Well, the U.S. has done very similar things as well in bringing together a free Syrian army, paying them their wages, which of course is no doubt paid for by U.S. taxpayers. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Don't forget, check us out on DirecTV. Most places that I'm aware of is channel 367. I did get word back from some of you that do watch Israeli News Live on the World Harvest Network in the United States there, Saturday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, saying that it was on a channel called Channel 17 on DirecTV. So definitely check your listings there to see where that's at. We will try to update you as well as we get a better understanding about where all the broadcast goes. Anyway, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. Thank you and God bless you. Thank you for supporting the work we do here as well. Your support is greatly appreciated, and it's what keeps us on the air around the world, bringing the latest news that we possibly can to you. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun with Israeli News Live. Shalom.